Hello, everybody. I am in my new little library. Isn't it adorable? So, it's not the finished product, but today we're tackling the bookshelves. They look very neat, very organized, yes? There is no order to any of it. It's literally just been thrown up there. Um, so we're gonna fix that today. It's not organized in any sort of way. Now, I will admit, at my dad's house, my bookshelf is color organized. That is shameful for a lot of people on bookstagram, everywhere, I know. This one will not be, I promise. Although it would look very visually appealing in the background of my book podcast, which will be hosted here, I won't do that. I will organize it by genre and series and all that. Don't worry, whatever. But first, I need to pull all of them off. So I'll be back once I do that. Just hold on. It is done. Those are staying there. Those are my little book sets. I have my little box sets. I have a Jane Austen, her full works, and I have the Puffin and Bloom classic collection. Those are staying there. However, now I need to figure out how I'm going to sort the rest of them. So, wish me luck. I am going to keep this here from now on. But I'm sorting through my books, fiction versus nonfiction, to differentiate that, and then I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail and sort through them again. And I was just saying, I have a lot more nonfiction than I normally think I do because I have a lot of memoirs and stuff. So, yeah. Here is my fiction. This is the nonfiction. And these are my TBR. There's another one up there in my Jane Austen set that is not here. Oh. Fiction. This is a book about Frances Perkins, who I did a project on in 6th grade, and the first book I ever annotated. It's actually a really good book. I just think now that I have a more big brain, I could read it and really enjoy it. This is the most beautiful cover ever, Women in Science. I haven't read it yet, but I have read Women in Art and absolutely loved it. So this is definitely going to be a good one for this summer. I'll probably read it in the summer. Then this is called Sensitive. It's this right here says the hidden power of the highly sensitive person in a loud, fast, too much world. And I did tab this one up because I just loved it. I just loved it so much. This is You Deserve Good Gelato by Casey Rose. If you don't follow her on Instagram or YouTube or anything, you should, because she's just so fun and she shares travel hacks and all that stuff. And she was one of the reasons I got so excited to go to Italy, and when I got to go, it was the best. So I love this book, and it's about doing the things that scare you. So good. This is The Art of Positive Thinking. I haven't read it, but it's just a tiny little book. It's like a motivational book, and it's really short. It's just over 100 pages, but look at that cover. Gorgeous. Then I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Read it. It's so important, and it's so good. And did I watch her growing up? So much. Did it crush my childhood dreams of her? No. I think that when people say that, oh my gosh, this ruined my childhood, it's such an insensitive thing to say, because she was abused, and you're saying that her sharing her story is ruining your life. Like, maybe realign on that. Like, take a step back, because I thought it was very eye-opening, and now that I'm older, I don't watch those shows, so my childhood isn't ruined. I don't partake in that part of my life anymore. Like, I'm okay. So, Jeanette, you didn't ruin my life. Don't worry. This is Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Trevor Noah is hilarious, and this book is beautiful. Becoming by Michelle Obama. I still never finished this. I started reading it in, let's see, I got to page 54. I started reading it in like 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember which year. So maybe I'll finish that this year. I need to actually put that in my jar, my TBR jar, because I read it. Diary of Anne Frank. I have read this. Everyone should read this. It's incredible. Incredible. Everyone should read this book. That's all I'll say. The House on Mango Street. So I didn't really know what to classify this as because it's sort of fiction, but it's also sort of about the author. I'm going to put it as a memoir. It's a very beautiful story. It's very short and sweet. And I love this. I read this last year and it's very poetic. I loved it. I loved it. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Yeah, Alderton. Um, Also a beautiful story. A great sort of coming of age, but also just being a 20-year-old girl and not knowing everything. But it's all of the stories that taught her about love. And I thought it was very sweet, and I think it's important for every woman to read this, young women to read this. I want to give it to my sister, but I haven't yet. I just don't ever think about it. So those are my nonfiction books. Separate them by genre there. Now we get into the fiction books. We'll just go through all of them and then I will. No, I have to sort them first. Can I put like my least favorite? I might sell some of them or donate them, get rid of them in general. Um, like this book, The Banks Sisters. I don't want this on my shelf. I didn't even put my little stamp in it that says from the library of. Um, it doesn't deserve that because I don't want to be associated with this book. Not a good book. That's all I'll say. Don't recommend. I'm sorry to Nikki. Um, not my style. Not my style. So I might just make a little pile of books I want to get rid of so I can have more room on my shelf. The Last Chance Library. I got this at half price bookstores. If you don't know what that is, it might just be in the US. I don't know. Um, Half price bookstores, they take in donated books and then sell them for a lower price. They do also have like new books, like the new covers of Lucy Score's books they had and had them like full price. But this I got on sale. My mom got it for me, but it was on sale, like half price probably, kind of in the name. But it's a little romance book and it's may or may not be on the bookends, so look out for that. But it'll be in the later months. But romance, I think it's a romance. Yeah, it's like a little romance. So rom-com. So I'll start a little pile for that. This is my favorite book ever. No, not really. Little Women is, but this was in my top 5 last year. I think it was my number 1 book last year. I can't quite remember. You can look on my Instagram for the bookends and find our top 5s, but pretty sure this is number 1. Incredible. I will put this in, I suppose, in Greek mythology because I have a couple. I only have like 2. I don't know how to categorize this. It is kind of a romance. It's a tragedy. Put it in its own little pile for now. This is All My Rage by Saba Tahir. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but incredible book. It was also in my top 5 for last year, and I loved it. I got this as a prize for a reading challenge at my public library, and boy, was it good. I'm not sure. This is a realistic fiction. Um, so good. So good. This is The Hating Game. I tabbed this one. I really liked this book. I thought the banter was so cute and I just loved it. I matched my tabs to the cover of the book and made a little video on it on my Instagram. Never Whistle at Night is a collection of dark fiction, indigenous stories. I thought it was really good. It was definitely unique. I don't have anything like it. I guess I will put it I'm gonna make a note. It's on pile. Check and Mate. Such a cute little rom-com, YA rom-com. Uh, yeah, it was cute. The Bell Jar. Every woman needs to read this book. So it's giving 10 Things I Hate About You. It's giving, um, no, The Bell Jar is so cool. It's like the story of like someone's descent into madness. Yeah, yeah. Read it. It's good. So where do we put this? I'm making its own pile. The picture of Dorian Gray. Look at this beautiful cover and pressing. Yeah. This is a classic. I'll put it with my classics collections that are up there. So it has its own pile, but it does have other books that go with it. We Will Always Have Summer. This is a YA romance, but it's a series, so I'm gonna make a pile for the series because I have another one somewhere. But I think the third one is at my dad's. I need to get them all together. I need a whole shelf for Taylor Jenkins Reid. She is my favorite author. Um, her and Jodi Picoult and K.L. Walther are like top tier. Um, yeah. So this, they need to have their own little section. This is Maybe He Just Likes You. I will put this in realistic fiction kind of along with All My Rage. It's about a girl in middle school and this kid gives her a hug and it's just like it's a good story about boundaries and setting boundaries as a woman and all that. So it was a good book. I read this I think when I was in 7th grade, which is the age that she is in the book. So definitely a good book. So I'm going to put that with All My Rage because it is sort of a realistic fiction. Every Summer After, another, oh, there's bookmark. I need to start a pile of bookmarks. And that's a good bookmark. I've been wondering where that was. This is another little uh, romance book, and it's so cute. I love her. Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is such an interesting book, and it's a little bit fantasy, but like just slightly. I like fantasy books like that where it's just slightly out of reality. Like the book I just read called If Cats Disappeared from the World. That's another Japanese book. Um, and I'm just in love with them. I'm in love with everything about these books. I need to read the rest in the series. But anyways, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I think I'm gonna put this with Never Whistle at Night because it's sort of a fantasy, um, folk tale, that sort of thing. So that's gonna go with that. The Chronicles of Avonlea will probably go with my classics. I haven't read it, but uh, it obviously goes with Anne of Green Gables. I'm just not sure how it fits in, and I'm gonna read it, but I think it's like a little extension of it, so I think that'll be good. I'm putting this in my sell pile. If you want to know more about it, you can go look at my Instagram review of it. I Love You So Mochi. I actually do like this book. So this one is a cute little rom-com set in Tokyo, and it's just adorable. It's a cute little YA romance, so I'll put that with my romance books. You Say It First is a little bit romance. Well, it is a romance book, it's a YA romance, but it's also like realistic fiction. And oh my goodness, she has so many other books. I need to read them because I love this book. I got it from the library and literally bought a copy of it because I loved it so much. And I'm probably going to reread it soon. So that'll go with my romance. Love in Other Words. I loved this book and other words about it. I do really like this book. It's a romance book, if you couldn't tell by love, in other words. Good Girl Complex is also a romance book. I have the second one somewhere. I can't seem to find the second books of all of these things. Um, and I read the third one on my Kindle, or my Kindle app. So this is another romance book. This was the first book I ever tabbed. Can you tell you can't even see the tabs? But there are tabs in there, and I wrote in it and did all the things. It's a good book. Very summery. Speaking of summer, these are all of my K.L. Walther books, and I think they are all of the ones that she's written. Um, what is the order they go? They go in like no, she's written other books, but these are like my books. So I have Summer Broken Rules, What Happens After Midnight, and Maybe Meant to Be. They are romance books. They have different tropes. This is like a summer love, second chance, and something else. Like secret romance sort of, but they're all YA and they're chef's kiss. I love Kale Walther. I'm gonna give her her own pile since it's a series, sort of. Daisy Jones and the Six. Need I say more? Taylor Jenkins Reid is incredible, and this book is so unique. Like, I literally have never read anything like it, and there needs to be 1,000 books like it because I just ate every single page. I loved it. On a darker note, Making Bombs for Hitler. This is a historical fiction. Um, it is definitely intended for a younger audience. It was a little bit below my reading level. I think I read it in like a day or two. But it is an important story, and I am glad I have read it and that I have it. Still trying to decide where. Well, I have other historical fictions like The War That Saved My Life. This book. This book. Oh my goodness. Again, it's for a younger audience. Ada. The girl's name is Ada. That's why I love that name. Oh my god. Ada is literally one of my favorite names. Anyways, it's a historical fiction about a girl who's abused and not let outside. I don't know. I need to reread it because I read it in fourth grade, so it's been about 6 years, but so good. So good. It was like my favorite book as a kid. Like, if someone asked what my favorite word or book was, it's that one. There's also a second one, and I need to find it so I can read it because I have to have it. I have to. Oh, here's the second book of Good Girl Complex. This is Bad Girl Reputation. I actually tabbed this one. You can actually like see it. Um, so this is the first book I tabbed after not doing it for a while, and it's a little bit sloppy, but both good books. I'll put them over here. Then I have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez from my book of the month, and I have a signed copy of Yours Truly that my mom got at Abby's cafe or bakery, I mean, in Minneapolis. So I have these two, and I do have the third one that's in this sort of interconnected trilogy. Don't know where it is though, so I'll put that over there. They're romance books. This is a historical or a realistic fiction as well, Girl in Pieces. An incredible story and very important story. Um, very good, very good. I'll put that in my realistic fiction. Holding Up the Universe is another realistic fiction that I loved by Jennifer Niven. Um, so so good, so good. I loved it. Another Taylor Jenkins Reid. We have Maybe in Another Life. Again, I loved this book. Her books are so good because they're so unique. Like, no one writes like Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think that's a shame. Normal People is a realistic fiction. It's about normal people, and it's good. It's good. I think The Bell Jar will just go with my realistic fiction because I think this is technically a historical fiction. I don't know how people would classify this book, but it's incredible, and we may or may not be rereading it for the podcast. So stay tuned. Bang. Um, this is a realistic fiction. you can look it up because there's some content warnings that I don't know if I feel comfortable talking about. But it is a good story and it's an important story. Now we get into like my shame, my Coho book. It's just the one. I've read 3 of her books total. This was like the first book I ever annotated. Can you tell? It's absolutely nasty. Shame. Shame. Look, every time I opened it, it made me cry. That's not healthy. I was like in 7th grade reading this. I low-key might sell it. Like, get rid of the tabs and like donate it, because shame. Shame. Anyway, internment. This is technically it's dystopian, I'm pretty sure. It's by Samira Ahmed, and it's incredible. I don't know where to put it, but I think I'll put it in realistic fiction because it is realistic fiction, unfortunately. On a later note, The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book was so cute, and I love me a little romance book by Ali Hazelwood. The Summer Turned Pretty, there we go. So I have these 2 books. I need the middle one. I have it. I don't know where it is. It must be at my dad's house. I'll have to bring it over next time, but I will put these over in my romance series pile. I'm keeping this only because I need to read it. I need to finish it because there's a little thing on the challenge I'm doing for the year that is read a book that you didn't finish, and I'm only keeping it for that reason. And if I don't like it, I'm selling it. It'll go in my romance pile. That's all I'll say. Hook, Line, and Sinker. I also have It Happened One Summer at my dad's house, but yeah. Love and Olives is a YA romance. I have read the other 2 books, and I'm waiting on this one to be drawn for my TBR jar. Looking for Alaska is a realistic fiction, and it is so good. So good. It was in my top 5 of last year. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This will probably also go in my little fantasy, like slight fantasy sort of book pile. This is also in my top 5 for last year, and it is so good. So good. So unique. So unique. We're getting down to the last ones. I have James, which is a historical fiction. I haven't read it yet, but it is a lot of people that I know have said it is like one of their favorites. So I am excited to read it. Then we have Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow. This is a romance. It's like an enemies to lovers kind of thing. Then I haven't read it yet. This is the Iliad. This will go with Song of Achilles because it is literally like the same. So they'll go together. Then I have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which my best friend, one of my best friends, Cameron, got for my birthday. And I'm interested. I think it's a romance. I don't know. I think it's a romance. I'll put it there. Then I have The Half Moon, which is, I think it's sort of a mystery, sort of a realistic fiction. That's on my TBR. And then I have Twisted Games, which is also part of my February TBR, which is a romance. The last one on my February TBR is up there. It is Persuasion by Jane Austen. So I'm gonna have those kind of separated, but now it's time to organize everything. So let me clear some space here for me to do. I'm gonna have my classics on this shelf with my other classics. So let me grab those. I think the Iliad is also like a classic, but it needs to go with the Song of Achilles. Like, it has to, you know? So, I don't know what I want to do then. Romance books. My romance will take up most of my shelf, so I'm just going to put them up there for now. So there's all the ones that aren't part of the series. Then my series, now I'll put my Taylor Jenkins, Taylor Jenkins Reid here. Then my realistic fiction. I'm actually going to put by my Taylor Jenkins Reid, I'm going to put my little fantasy kind of books. Because to me, Taylor Jenkins Reid is like slight fantasy, you know? It's like just a little bit fantasy. Then I have historical fiction. You can go right here. That was a nice little fit. So much more. I have all of my nonfiction books. So what I'm gonna do is let me do a quick tour. Hold on. Let's walk through. I have all of my romance. These are romance series. This is also a series. I'm gonna have the third one in here. Then these are other romance series. So I have the Good Girl, Complex and Bad Girl Reputation, which is L. Kennedy. I have my K.L. Walther books. I have my Abby Jimenez books. I have all of my Taylor Jenkins Reid right here, and then these are a little bit of some fantasy books. This is also one of those fantasy books, but it didn't fit laying down, so I just had it going up. These are my realistic fiction. These are my historical fiction. These are like my Greek mythology, which kind of goes in my historical fiction. And then this shelf, I have my nonfiction books. So these are general nonfiction. These are self-help, as well as this one. Oh, you can't even see. This is self-help. These are self-help. And then these are memoirs. And then I have my classics. So I have this collection, and then these two as well are classics. And then this one goes with these, but it didn't quite fit in there. So these are my final bookshelves. Sorry, my book collection is constantly expanding, so I hope someday to build some more shelves down here, like another row along the bottom, because I really like this L shape. I guess you can't quite see it, but it is like a little L shape. But I also love all my decorations here, but I have this whole wall and the rest of my walls are blank right now. So I have plenty of room to grow with my books, which is necessary because I am a book connoisseur of sorts. I have a book podcast, I have a book Instagram. I hope to maybe post longer form content on my YouTube. So just creating a lot of content with books, they're very important to me and I love to have lots of them. My greatest accomplishment is that I've read most of these books. Let's count how many I have not read. I'll count the ones that I haven't finished as has not read. So 20. Out of all of these books, I haven't finished 20 of them. Two of them are non-finished. So I have completely not read 18 and then not finished two, but started two. Does that make sense? 20 out of all of these books. Should I count all of them and see the percentage? 20 out of 67. Now, what is that in a percent? I could not tell you. I'll put it here. But that's like kind of good. That's like 30%. I've read 70% of my book collection. Thank you for coming with me. I hope you liked my little bookshelf tour and reorganizing. It didn't take me very long. I don't have very many, again, I have 67 books. I don't even have 100. So it's not that hard. I am very happy with how it turned out. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed. Now I have to like mentally prepare myself because I'm going to go babysit today. So babysitting, new family, so a little nervous but also excited. Wish me luck.